care about the consequence. I don't care about the
Hi, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Boss Up and Glow Up with Lexi Sample. And in this podcast, we are always talking about mental health, relationships, friendships, and just how to become your best self overall because we all need help with that. We're never perfect. So it's a good idea to just have someone to talk to, have a video to look forward to kind of discuss what's going on in our lives and kind of get some help because sometimes we need to go to somebody that is unbiased because it is hard to just go to a friend sometimes because they're going to tell us we're right. All right. Let's get one thing clear right away, and that's self respect is not a personality trait. It is not something you either have or you don't have. And it is definitely not something that you just magically wake up with after healing. Self respect is a daily choice. And the reason this topic matters so much is because most people think they lack confidence when in reality, they are just constantly betraying themselves in small ways and they don't even realize they're doing it half the time. We romanticize self respect. We picture it as walking away dramatically, saying no effortlessly, and having unshakable boundaries. But in real life, self respect is kind of quiet, it's boring, it's pretty repetitive, and it's inconvenient. Self respect shows up in the moments that no one is clapping for you for. And today we are going to talk about what self respect actually looks like in a day to day life and why it feels so hard to choose it, and how we confuse self respect with control, perfection, or even pride. And we're going to talk about how to start choosing it even when you don't feel like you're strong yet. Self respect is alignment between what you know and what you do. That is it. It's not what you say you deserve or what you think you deserve, not what you post, not what you tolerate publicly, but it's what you repeatedly allow in private. If your actions contradict your values, your nervous system knows. Your body knows. And over time, that internal split creates anxiety, resentment, and exhaustion. And a lot of people say, oh, I know better. I shouldn't be doing this. I don't even like this version of myself. And that gap between knowing and doing is where self respect either lives or dies. Now, self respect is not about being perfect, it's about being honest enough to stop abandoning yourself just to keep the peace, or to feel chosen, or to avoid things that are maybe a little uncomfy. And like, here's the part about self respect that we don't really talk about or hear about that much. And it's choosing self respect often feels like kind of a loss. You feel a loss of connection, loss of things feeling familiar to you, loss of attention, loss of comfort. Especially if you learned early on, maybe in like your childhood or young adulthood, that love came from pleasing, adapting, or staying quiet. That might make it feel like a loss because you've adapted that love came from just pleasing everybody. And for many people, self respect feels unsafe because it threatens your attachment. If you grew up learning that being agreeable kept you connected, then choosing yourself later on in life can trigger anxiety. Your nervous system is not broken, it's just trying to protect you from that. So, when you feel guilt for saying no, when you feel anxious for setting a boundary, when you feel tempted to go back to what you know is not good for you, that doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're kind of rewiring a little bit. Self respect often feels lonely before it feels empowering. And it will feel empowering. You just have to give it a little bit of time. It's part of the healing process. You'll get there. And a lot of people confuse self respect with ego. Ego says, I will never let anyone hurt me again. I don't need anyone. I'm above all this. Self respect says, I can feel hurt and still choose myself. Self respect is not about cutting people off in a dramatic fucking way. It's about responding instead of reacting. It's about consistency and not things being so intense. Another confusion is control. Trying to control outcomes, people, or timing is not self respect. It's fear disguised as self respect. Self respect is accepting what you can't control while still controlling your choices. You cannot control whether someone chooses you, but you can control whether you keep choosing someone who keeps showing you that they can't meet you where you need them to be. Let's make this a little more practical, okay? Self respect looks like not explaining yourself 10 times to someone who has already decided not to listen or not to understand you. Going to bed on time, even when no one's watching. You say you need to be in bed by a certain time because you have shit to do in the morning and you want to make sure you're getting enough sleep so you don't feel like shit. That's also self respect. Not chasing closure from someone who never gave clarity. Keeping promises to yourself even when motivation disappears. This one is a hard one, you guys. Like, you have to keep the promises you make to yourself. That is the biggest self-respect that you can have, is not letting yourself down. You can't control if people are going to let you down or not, but you can control if you let yourself down or not. Let's say you want to prioritize going to the gym. You promise yourself, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the gym 3 days a week." And then one of the days comes that you promised yourself you would go and you're like, "Oh, I don't feel like it." You are letting yourself down. That's not self-respect. Another one is leaving situations where you have to shrink yourself to be accepted. Do you ever have that one friend where you feel like you can't tell them your accomplishments because they get a little funky with it? Like, for example, you tell them, "Oh, like I did really good on this exam," or like I got a certificate for this career, or like you tell them some type of good news and they're just like, "Oh, great." Like they kind of say it in a condescending way, and you can tell that they aren't happy for you, or you feel like you just can't tell them your accomplishments or they'll feel less of themselves. That's not a you problem, that's a them problem. So, leaving situations where you have to shrink yourself for a friend or anyone really, that's self-respect. You have to leave that. You can't be friends with that person. Not oversharing with people who have not earned access to you. Choosing rest without needing to justify it. This one is big, especially for me. I could not rest. I hate taking a day off. I just always feel like I need to be doing something. And yesterday, for example, I had such a migraine and I felt bad for taking the day off. And I'm like, listen, like you have a migraine. It is okay to take the day off. And I just felt so guilty about it. And that's something I'm working on, but I chose rest. Even though I tried to find a way to justify it, I didn't need to justify it. If my body is telling me to rest, it needs to rest. And you should do the same. Self respect is often choosing the long term peace over short term comfort. And yes, sometimes it's gonna feel boring, it's gonna feel lonely. Sometimes it's even gonna feel like you're doing way too much, but every time you choose yourself, your nervous system learns that you are safe with you. And that's something huge. You have to learn how to be safe with yourself. Here's the part of this that might kind of sting a little bit or maybe trigger you a little bit. But every time you ignore your own boundaries, you are teaching people how to treat you. Every time you stay silent with something that is bothering you, you teach yourself that your feelings are negotiable. That's not allowed. That is not okay. If something is bothering you, you need to speak up. And I'm sure we have all been there. We've all been in a friendship or a relationship that has been like this, where you have a boundary and they cross it and you kind of just ignore it because you don't want any drama, you don't want anyone to be upset, and you just ignore it, you're letting them know that that is okay and you are okay with that. Every time you are staying silent when you are hurt, you are teaching yourself that your feelings are negotiable, and that is not okay either. And I've been in that situation in a relationship and a friendship where I was hurt, I was upset, and I didn't wanna say anything because I wanted to keep the peace, I didn't wanna fight, I didn't wanna argue, and I knew it would turn into an argument, and that's also a red flag. Like, if you can't even speak up for how you're feeling, that you shouldn't even be with that person either if you're worried about even having a mature conversation about how you're feeling. You are allowing them to hurt you, you're telling them that behavior is okay. And over time, this is gonna cause resentment. It's gonna cause burnout. It's gonna cause you to be emotionally numb and anxiety that seems to come out of nowhere. It's really not coming out of nowhere, but it's from all that that's gonna cause you to be anxious. A lot of people are not tired because they're doing too much. They're tired because they're doing too much of what goes against themselves. Self respect is not about punishing yourself, it's about protecting yourself. And now we need to talk about how to start choosing self respect even when you feel weak. You don't need a huge personality shift, you just need small, consistent actions. Start here. Notice where you feel tension after an interaction. That's information. Pay attention to what is draining you versus what restores you. Practice pausing before responding. You're allowed to take time. Not everything needs a response right away. And sometimes, if something really triggered you, you're not going to have a nice response right away. So it's okay to take that time and figure out how you actually want to respond. Start small. Keep one promise to yourself daily, even a small promise. Any promise is a good promise. Stop negotiating with yourself about things that you already know the answer to. Self respect is built through repetition, not intensity. You will mess up, you will go back, you're gonna question yourself. That does not erase your growth. The goal is not perfection. The goal is self trust. It is okay to not be perfect at this, not to have complete self respect right away. Because if you're watching this, you're probably in a healing journey and you need to learn how to love and respect yourself. And it's going to take time, it's not going to be easy. But if you just start small and realize when you need to respect yourself, it all starts with boundaries. You know what bothers you. You know what you should and should not accept. Even though it's gonna be hard, even though you're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna settle for this just because I don't wanna lose this person." That is you not respecting yourself. Oh my gosh, I've been in a situation like this before where I'm trying to think of an example, which I don't really wanna give details, but I was in a relationship with this person who would do certain things that I was not okay with. I hated it, it hurt me, it really bothered me, but I didn't wanna start a fight, so I kind of just allowed that behavior when I knew a grown man don't act like that, like, that is not okay, and I just ignored it, ignored it, ignored it, and then after a while, I started to actually hate this person, and I was dating them still, and I hated them because I was allowing this behavior when I should have set the boundaries from the jump or just left the situation from the jump. Because if they're gonna keep crossing boundaries that you're not okay with, you need to get the fuck out of there and leave. And that's something I learned throughout these past couple years. And I will never, ever settle for less than I want again. I know my boundaries now. I know what is okay and what is not okay because I've seen it and I'm not gonna let that happen again. And that's something you should really think about because if somebody is constantly crossing a boundary that you're not okay with, or you feel like you can't speak up for how you're feeling, they need to go. Simple as that. You need to respect yourself and either let them know how you feel. And if it's an issue, then get the fuck out of there. But maybe they'll listen. So at least before saying, oh, I am not going to tolerate this and just dipping, at least say it first and then don't listen to what they say. Watch how they act because they could say they'll never do it again, but they'll do it again. So just watch out for patterns and then you can make that decision later on. But at least say how you feel and give it a chance first because who knows? Maybe they'll listen, maybe it will change. Self respect doesn't need to be this loud, dramatic thing. It's not gonna look aesthetic. It's not pretty. It's not always gonna feel comfortable. It's you choosing alignment over approval, truth over attachment, consistency over chaos. And the more you choose it, the more you choose to respect yourself, the quieter your mind becomes and the safer your body starts to feel. The less you need validation from people who can't give it. You're not going to wake up one day full of self respect. You build it in the moments you think don't matter, and they matter more than anything. Like you could just be sitting there at night, just la da dee, la da da, and then you're going to be like, wait, this shit is not okay. That's you thinking about your self-respect. It's not gonna be when you're in this situation, you're like, "What the fuck? Like, I need to respect myself." That's not how it is. It's gonna happen at the most random moments. So just work on it, think about it, reflect on it, maybe start journaling. I love journaling. So when you start to feel some type of way, if you're still afraid to speak up, just note it down. At least start there. It's gonna be small. You're not gonna be able to just flip a switch and just set your boundaries right the fuck away. Maybe journal it, journal how you feel, and then the more you look at it, the more you're gonna be like, I need to speak up on this. Because if you keep writing it down every single day, you're gonna wanna speak up on it. And that matters. Small steps matter. It's not an easy thing to do. It's hard, especially when you're trying to respect yourself against someone you love and care about. It's hard, but it's not impossible. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode of Boss Up and Glow Up. This one was a hard one because we don't even realize we're not respecting ourselves sometimes, especially when it comes to people that we love and we care about, because we just don't want to hurt them, even though they're hurting us. We don't want to upset them. We don't want to set gas on the fire. Like, we don't want that. But we need to respect ourselves and we need to set clear boundaries and stop allowing bullshit. We're not doing that anymore. Okay? We want better for ourselves. We deserve better. And we're going to get better. But it all starts with small, intentional steps. Okay? Listening to this episode is a small, intentional step. And I really hope this helped you realize where you need to set your boundaries. And it just made you think a little bit like, are we respecting ourselves? Or are we allowing shit that we are not okay with? And we're kind of allowing ourselves to get hurt. But thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I really hope this helped you out. And I will talk to you and see you guys next week.
I don't care.